Okay, today we are diving into one of the most intense books in the entire Old Testament, Jeremiah. Seriously, this thing is a wild ride. It's a gripping story about a prophet who literally wept for his nation as he predicted its total destruction. But, and this is a huge but, it also has this surprising twist of incredible hope right in the middle of all the chaos.
So who's the guy at the center of this whole thing? Well, Jeremiah is famously known as the weeping prophet, and trust me, he earned that title. His prophecies weren't just, abstract warnings from a distance. No, this stuff was personal. It was gut-wrenching, and it caused him so much pain. He was carrying the weight of his entire nation's future on his shoulders, and you can feel that deep sorrow on pretty much every page.
And that's the key, really. Jeremiah's personal journey becomes the very lens through which we see these massive, history-changing events. He's not some detached observer looking down from an ivory tower. He is right in the middle of the storm, and that makes it all feel so much more real.
All right, so to really get the drama here, we gotta meet the main players. Of course, you've got Jeremiah, our prophet with the really tough messages. Then there's Baruch, his loyal scribe, the guy writing all this stuff down. And then you have these two kings who are on an absolute collision course. King Zedekiah of Judah, who has to decide if he's gonna listen or not, and on the other side, King Nebuchadnezzar, the powerhouse leader of Babylon, who is about to become the instrument of God's judgment.
So that brings us to Jeremiah's main mission. And let me tell you, it was a difficult, thankless job. He was tasked with delivering an urgent and, frankly, a devastating warning to the people of Judah.
At the very heart of this whole conflict is one single massive problem. The nation of Judah had this special agreement, this covenant with God. But Jeremiah's message was brutally clear. You've broken it. Completely and totally shattered that promise.
And you can see here, it's a pretty clear cause and effect situation. The people hadn't just broken the covenant by worshiping other gods, that's idolatry. They'd also done it through some really deep social injustice, where the rich and powerful were just walking all over the poor and the vulnerable. Because of that, the consequences were going to be severe. Jeremiah warned of total destruction, being dragged off into exile, and facing God's wrath. It was a very clear message. Your actions have consequences.
So all of this is building towards a massive, dramatic climax where all of Jeremiah's terrible warnings, they tragically become a grim reality.
And this isn't just a myth or some kind of parable. We're talking about a real, verifiable moment in history. The year is 587 BCE. The Babylonian army, led by Nebuchadnezzar, surrounds the city of Jerusalem, lays siege to it, and in the end, destroys it.
And just like that, it happened. Everything Jeremiah had been shouting about for years finally came to pass. The temple was torn down, the city was left in ruins, and the people were carried off to exile in Babylon. The words of the weeping prophet had come true.
Now, this is the exact moment where the whole story pivots. After all that doom and gloom, you've got to ask the question, with the city destroyed and the covenant broken, was all hope just gone? Is that it? Game over?
And the answer, incredibly, is no. Just when everything seems to be at its absolute darkest, the book takes this incredible turn away from total destruction and toward a message of hope and a future restoration.
You see, even woven into those prophecies of judgment, there are these powerful threads of hope. Jeremiah starts talking about a promised future, about restoring the people from exile, about a total forgiveness of sins. A completely new beginning. It's such a stark contrast to the fire and rubble we just saw. And all of this hope, it builds and builds until it culminates in one of the most significant ideas in the entire book, the promise of a new covenant.
And this quote right here, this gets to the very heart of it. See, the old covenant was written on stone tablets. It was external. This new one was going to be totally different. It would be internal. The promise was that God's law wouldn't be on stone anymore, but written directly on people's hearts.
The difference here is just profound. The old external covenant, we saw what happened. The people broke it. But this new covenant promises a fundamental internal transformation. A new heart that would actually instinctively want to follow God. We're talking about a radical shift from just following rules on the outside to real change on the inside.
So, when you boil it all down, the book of Jeremiah isn't just about judgment, and it's not just about hope. It's about both. It holds the profound sorrow of human failure right next to the enduring hope of forgiveness and a brand new start.
And that kind of leaves us with one last thought.
Why does this ancient story about a prophet's tears, a city's fall, and the promise of a new heart, why does it still connect with people thousands of years later? Well, maybe it's because it speaks to a cycle that's just timeless, the cycle of failure, of redemption, and that deep down hope for real internal change.